For all things outdoors, listen to the father of two, the Jesus-loving TV show hosting hairy, true-blood American redneck, Ben Cole.
And listen to the outdoor filming, chef cooking, chocolate milk drinking, John Weissmuller. And we are
Rooted Podcast. What's up, Ben? How's it going, man?
What's happening, brother?
Oh,
we are
What are we
back
doing?
talking about one of our favorite times of the year other than ducks, and it's turkey season, Bo. We are here talking about some wild turkeys. We're going to go through some different turkey calls, some different calling techniques, when to call, and why you should or should not call in some circumstances. And there's just a bunch of other things because we are getting super pumped about hunting some longbeards. I know I am, John. What about you?
Man, I'm always excited for it. You know, this time of year is really when people start getting amped up. You know, deer season is pretty much over in all the country except for Alabama. Alabama's still hanging in there tight, but you know, deer season's ending. You got a little bit of goose hunting going on, but nothing crazy. And then the turkey show gets here and people's minds start to shift. You can kind of feel the energy shift in the room, and people start thinking about tail fans popping up, birds strutting, long beards dragging the ground, shotguns going off, birds flopping. It's an exciting time of year, and it's personally my favorite time of the year. And man, I've just loved turkey hunting. Always have, always will, and I'm really excited to dive in and talk about it. And yeah, man, let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's get started with some turkey call basics. So, when I say basics, I'm
Sure.
talking about the essentials for what you need to effectively
Okay.
kill a longbeard, right? So,
Okay.
and what we're doing here is something totally crazy, right? So in nature, the tom is strutting and the hen goes to the tom. What we're trying to do is bring that tom to the hen, which goes against everything that turkey knows and does. I mean, that dude puts on a huge show, strutting, gobbling, drumming, spitting. I mean, really puts on a song and dance for those hens, and we're making him come to us. So, John, let's dive in.
Yep.
Tell me what call is the easiest to start with for somebody that may be just getting started in to turkey hunting. What is the easiest to learn, and what are some basic call combinations they can do?
All right. So there's a lot that goes into that, right? First things first, exactly what you said. Okay. You're trying to reverse nature. Not an easy thing to do. You're trying to get that tom to come to you. And that tom's trying to get you to come to it. So you got to understand a few things before you pick up a call. Okay. You got to understand there's three basic sounds that a turkey makes. Okay. There's more than three that a turkey makes, but the three basic ones, okay, you got the yelp, the cluck, and the purr. Okay. So knowing that, we need to understand what they mean. What is a turkey saying? Okay, when they yelp, when they cluck, when they purr. Okay. Because you can pick up a call, learn how to run it, great. That's awesome. But if you don't know what it's saying, it's useless. Okay. So a yelp is a turkey saying, I'm over here. Come here. I'm over here. Okay. A cluck is a turkey saying, look. Now, if a turkey clucks really fast, okay, and that's called a cut. That's a series of clucks very fast. Okay. That pretty much means like, look, 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 look. There's a lot of danger going on. Like, bad. We gotta bounce now, or someone's gonna be flopping in a minute if we don't. Okay. Where otherwise just a regular cluck pretty much just means like, hey, look, I found some food. Hey, look, this is cool. Right? Just like humans talk. Now the purr if you'll notice, whenever you're out in the woods and you're turkey hunting, a lot of the times turkeys purr when there's two or more in a group, and they're kind of saying like, and they usually purr whenever their heads down and they're eating. They're saying like, my space, like this is my area. Okay, don't come over here. This is my food. And animals, right? Turkeys, being the animals that they are like, no, I'm gonna come over there and eat your food because you told me not to. So that's just that. Kind of like humans do, right? You know, if you got a brother or something, you're like, don't play with this toy. Now all they want to do is do that. I'm sure your kids do the same thing, Ben. You tell them not to do something, now that's all they want to do. It's the same concept. So knowing those things, okay, I know that's kind of the boring side of things. Now it's exciting. Now it's time to pick up a call. Okay, you got a few options. One I don't have in front of me that honestly is probably the absolute easiest is a push button call. Okay, you can do the three basics on it: cluck, yelp, purr. So those are out there, and it literally is push button. It's literally just this box, and it has like a spring in it or like a rubber band kind of pulley system, and you literally just push it. Friction happens, call is made. Okay, but let's say that you know that you're better than a push button call, and you really want to get into this. To me, what I found to be easiest, okay, was a box call. Now, why do I say box call? Because if you go to a pot call, okay, which could be ceramic, which could be crystal, could be glass, could be copper, aluminum. Slate is a very popular, most common one, probably. Slate call. Okay, it comes with two different things. You have the actual call, then you have this thing called a striker. And you put them together. Okay, right? But that kind of takes two parts, whereas the box call is just all one thing. So I would say if you're gonna start calling, start with a box call. Now most box calls take chalk. Okay, I'll get this up here so people who are watching the video portion can see this. You have the lid of the call, then you have the box right at the bottom. Okay, you got these two kind of ridges on the call. Okay, and then the box goes over it. So the reason that I think this is the most simple, Ben, is because just to start, all you gotta do is drag this thing, like, and just dragging it. Let's just assume you've never done it and you're just dragging it. You're kind of already halfway there. Okay, I want you to listen to this because a Yelp. Let's dive into a Yelp for a second. A Yelp has two parts. Okay, has the upper and the lower, the high and the low. Okay, a Yelp, it kind of goes, yeah. Okay, it starts and then it kind of drops off. And if you just drag this across, you kind of hear it, right? And then you get a little better at it and you may add some speed, right? And you hear that kind of tone difference. Then eventually you get decent at it and then you just start. Okay. So to answer your question, I know I've been gabbing for 5 minutes here. I would start with a box call if you're just getting into it. It's the most simple to use, it's the easiest to take care of, and you can do the three basic calls you need to kill a turkey.
Excellent. So the box call is where you started. I started on a pot call, slate call, and I don't have one right here in front of me, but let's talk about how a turkey actually sounds, though, because every turkey is different in its own right. Man, you don't have to be a world champion turkey caller to kill turkeys, which is much like in the duck world and all that stuff. All that is showing a panel of judges that you can manipulate and control that call to its fullest abilities. That's all you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard some hen turkeys that sound like they have been chain
Oh, dude.
smoking their whole entire life. And I'm like, dude, there ain't no way that
Yep.
is a turkey. But it is. It absolutely
Oh yeah.
is a hen on the other ridge making all that racket. And I'm just like, boy, oh boy. Man, we
Oh
thinking too
yeah. I've
much
had
about
that
all
happen,
this.
man.
And she's got every
Yeah.
Tom in the
Yeah.
county with her. It's like, oh, look at this old girl.
Oh yeah.
Woohoo.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
It's
Thing's
crazy.
great. Man, it's just,
I've had it
I
happen
want
before.
people to
Yeah.
understand that you don't have to make every single call perfect. You don't. The one you want to
Mm.
stay away from is the putt. You don't want to putt because that is their danger call. Like, hey, there's danger over here. See you later. We're out. We don't want to do that. That's the one you want to stay away from.
Right.
And, but other than that, man, it's really not that difficult to kill a turkey as far as the calling aspect goes because it does not have to be perfect. The difficult part comes in is when they decide to be true Easterns and don't respond. They either go lockjaw, fly out, they gobble their heads off on the roost because they know ain't nobody going to
Mhm.
get them there. And then as soon as their
Yep.
feet touch the ground, silence. Because they've already got their hens with them.
Yep.
Typically, is why. Why would they gobble? They don't have to. They have all the hens with them. So when a turkey is gobbling, what it's doing is saying, "Hey, look at me. I'm over here strutting. You should come over here, and we should make eggs. We should breed." And that's what he's trying to do is get a mate, and he's trying to breed all these different hens. Well, that's what the gobble is for, is to tell all the hens, hey, here I am. And it's a communication between the hen and the longbeard that goes on. And that's what we're
Hmm.
trying to replicate is that
All
communication
they're doing
between
is
the hen
talking.
and the longbeard. So you don't have to be perfect on your turkey calling. Just give it your best effort. The main point in turkey hunting is concealment, number one, no aggressive movements, and just kind of knowing your birds, knowing the terrain, knowing your land, and getting out there and scouting. But we'll talk about that on another episode. Uh, just touching on the point of you don't have to be a phenomenal turkey caller to kill birds. You just don't have to be.
No, I mean that's a great point because I think a lot of people get caught up in calling too much. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
I have killed a lot of my birds, including this one behind me, by calling a little bit and then just shut up. Because
Mm-hmm.
listen, it's a turkey, folks. It has a head like the size of my fist or smaller. The brain's not that big. Okay, I'm not saying that they're really stupid, but they're turkeys. Okay, we're humans. Let's just think about this for a second. Okay, if you most times, right? If you're talking to somebody, okay, and then let's say you're talking to 10 people, 9 people are all up in your business wanting to talk to you, and that one is kind of talking to you, but not really, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. That's the person you want to talk to more because you're like, well, why aren't you talking to me? Why? What's what's going on here? Turkeys are the same way. If you talk a little love, you're like, hey baby, come on over, and then you just hush. That that old Tom's like, well, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't I'm gonna go over there and see what the heck who does this lady think she is talking like that to me and then just gonna not talk to me? I ain't playing that game. And then they come over and well, it's us on the other end.
The
But
rest is history.
like yeah, so people I have seen it and I've done it over calling and I've learned to just limit the call, know when to call. There's a bunch of things that you can do for that. Uh, and we can deep dive into that if we want to. I know we're trying to keep this a beginner episode, but just know that you know you want to just keep your calling to a minimum. And now listen, if that bird is gobbling to everything, like a car door or an ambulance siren or anything, and it's just answering to whatever you got, then hey, by all means, keep it going.
Like
But
all them Rios down in Texas we killed. Well, we couldn't get that one away even after we killed his two buddies. He still hanging out trying
oh
to
my
strut at
god.
them decoys. I was like, dude, you are dancing on the door of death and you may want to just walk on before I change my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
good
I mean,
grief,
some
man.
birds just do it right, man. Some birds just plain out do it right. That particular hunt, but it was kind of the same thing, right? Like we went out, we located them. We'll talk about
Mhm.
that in a minute. But we went
Yep.
out, we located them, we sat down. On this hunt, we actually had decoys,
Yep.
and anyway, called a little, they gobbled, and we saw them, right? So that's another huge thing. Like, if you see the bird coming, you just hush. He's coming. You don't need to
Mhm.
do any more convincing. But
Yep.
anyway, I mean, we saw them strutting and running and coming, and then they were right in our face, and it was magical. He's hanging up. Y'all can't see him, but he's hanging right over there. But I mean, it's just awesome, awesome. God, I love it, dude. But that's just a good example right there of like we called when we needed to, didn't when we didn't need to, and shot some turkeys.
Man, I got a couple of hacks for all the beginners out there. So, the first hack that I have learned is if you just do some simple yelps and purr. So if you know that there's birds in your area, pretty close to where you're hunting, you can yelp if they're not responding. You may have to deer hunt them, which I don't like doing. I like to run and gun and chase them and find them, but man, there's sometimes you can't because if they're not gobbling, you don't know where they are. They could have pitched down on the other side
Mhm.
of the ridge and you don't have a clue. So sometimes the best option is to go sit in like a chufa field or a clover field where you know that they have been there at some point in the day or the day before or the day before that, and just simply do a couple soft yelps and purr and let it sit for 10, 15 minutes. Couple soft yelps and purr. And that, my friend, I've killed more turkeys off of purring than anything else. I really have. I've killed a pile of
Mhm.
turkeys, and over the
You know
years,
why?
why?
Because it's a relaxing. It's not an aggressive. Like a lot of people when they yelp in the woods,
Hmm.
they they just think that they have to yelp so loud to get over the three ridges, and if that turkey's close, it's just a lot. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
if someone walked into Walmart and started yelling at you, you wouldn't want to go up to them. It's the same
No.
thing. It's like if they're just going, "Hey, hey, 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 hey," that bird's like, "Whoa, man, hey, I'm gonna go
Yo.
skirt over here." But
Yeah.
if you just walk in like, "Hey, man, how are you? How's life? How's it going?" They're like, "Hey, actually, life's not that bad. I'm gonna come over here and talk to this guy."
Yeah. I'm gonna
I mean,
come
that's
hang out
why. It's just,
yeah,
you're exactly. I
making
just
a
come in
relaxing
peace, baby. I'm just
environment.
here to hang.
Yeah. Coming in peace, relaxing environment, and
You know.
dude, I've killed so many turkeys off a simple
I
cluck
mean, that's why.
and a yelp and a purr.
Yeah,
And
dude.
then
You don't
here's
need a
another
lot.
hack. So if you haven't ever turkey hunted before, or if you have and haven't experienced this yet, you will more than once. So a lot of times a longbeard will get hung up in what we call a strut zone, which means he struts back and forth, back and forth, back and forth because he's trying to get whatever hen is in the area to see him, to notice him, to come to him. Remember, we're trying to get him to come to us. That is the goal, is to break nature and break what he knows how to do and get him over our way. So one thing that you can do if you have a very stubborn old long tom over there, you can take yourself and set your buddy in front of you and you get up and you start walking away from him, slightly yelping
Mhm.
as you walk away. Just yelp, walk a couple steps, yelp, keep doing that. Man, I've had more success with that too, like in that kind of situation, by making him think, oh, well, this hen's not interested. Let me go and see what I can do about it. That in itself will take care of a lot of those birds that are hung up. Now, does that always work? No, it does not always work, but it is a good option to have that in your arsenal to know that, hey, if this bird is hung up, I can try that, or you may have
Mhm.
to crawl to him. I don't know. Sometimes you can't, though. Sometimes you absolutely can't. When they get out in the middle of those giant fields, that's the only
Good
option you
luck.
have, is to turn and walk away and call while you walk away. I mean, seen it happen last year, man. It it worked like a dream last year. I'll tell you more about that story in a little while, but the gist of that story is we killed a triple on opening day, so worked pretty good.
Oh
I've
yeah.
never killed a triple before. Me and you was the first double I've ever killed in the great state of Texas. That was an epic hunt. It was phenomenal, man. That'll be etched in my mind for eternity. But
Oh
what we're
yeah.
getting at here, guys, is you don't have to be perfect. Just get out there and
Yeah.
do it. Get out in the woods, learn your land, take your turkey calls out there. Don't be afraid to run a turkey call. Just go out there. You're going to figure it out. The best way to practice a turkey call is by doing it. The only way you're going to learn it is by
Yep.
doing it. You ain't going to learn it by
Listen, you
watching
will bother your wife. You
your
will.
mama,
You will
your
bother your
daddy,
lady friend, or ladies out there, you will bother your
bother
boyfriend.
everybody.
You will bother your mom, your dad, your sister,
Mhm.
everybody. Your
Yep.
teacher. Listen, I can't tell you how many times I got yelled at school for yelping down the hallway. I mean, I couldn't tell you. Everybody knew. I mean,
Mhm.
John, put that call away. I'm like, no,
No,
dang
I
it,
want
no, I
turkey
don't want
call,
to.
man. I'm from East Tennessee, dude. I'm
That's
gonna
it. I
kill
want
a
to.
longbeard. That's right. But
And
I'll tell
then
you what, though.
and yeah, man.
Go ahead.
Go
Say
ahead.
what you're gonna say.
Oh, you're
Well,
good. I was just
you
gonna
know,
say that this was during a time that I was uh at the time I was competing for Grand Nationals, and
mhm.
that's another reason to really 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 call a lot. But which, by the way, what Ben said is so true. I know a bunch of stage callers, quote unquote, and who can't really really hunt turkeys. Like if you drop them in the middle of some turkey woods and told them to go kill you a bird, they really wouldn't know where to start. All they know really how to do is call. And there's so much more that goes into hunting than calling. So anyway.
So let's loop back to talking about calls. All right. So we've gone over the pot call. We've gone over the well, we haven't yet. We've gone over the box call. We have not talked about the
Mm-hmm.
diaphragm call or the mouth call, and we haven't talked about the
Yep.
locator calls. So let's
Yeah,
talk
let's do it.
about the diaphragm call real quick, and let's kind of run through what that sounds like. I know you have a diaphragm there, so give us a little sound
Yeah,
file
man.
of what that is like.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I'll just run the call first, and then I'll gab about it some more. Let's just do a yelp.
Yeah, basic yelp.
Okay. So, what is a mouth call? What is a diaphragm call? It has three main parts. It has tape, it has aluminum, and it has latex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you see this call here, this particular call, the green part is the tape. It can be black, red, white, whatever. Okay. And that does matter once we deep dive into this. Different thickness of tape, different flexibility of tape. A lot goes in, but you don't really need to worry about all that. And then an aluminum reed hold. Okay. This kind of aluminum part frame. That's what kind of helps the call form, helps stretch the latex. And then you have you anywhere from one reed to three reeds in a mouth call. This particular one here is a three reed. Takes a little more air pressure to kind of manipulate. And then every call has some sort of cut, whether it's simple and straight. This one's a diamond cut, which is my personal favorite. A lot of people like the Batwing, which I do as well. Um, there are all sorts of corner cuts, and there's a lot that goes into it. People are trying to cut that latex, and what that does is just kind of lets the air flow out a different way, maybe a different little pitch. You can do different, maybe a different call with it. Like I run when I was doing competitions and I would have to do a key call. I would just run a straight cut, literally just a single reed It was the easiest for me. If I wanted to yelp, I would use diamond for pretty much everything else, or a bat wing. But so that's the basic of it, okay, of how it's made. To actually run it, I'll just go through the gist of it. On every mouth call, there's a little bump on the bottom of the aluminum. So bump down, okay? Or you could always just say the part of the latex that's cut up. So bump down, cut up. You want to go tape first, okay? And then you just want to go past your teeth. If you can feel with your tongue right now, you feel the back of your tooth and you keep riding up. Eventually, that gum goes straight up to the roof of your mouth. That's where you want this baby to go. You put your tongue where that aluminum frame and that latex meet, and you push air through it, and then make your call. That's the gist of that. Ben, if I'm rambling, please stop me.
No,
I get to
man.
talking and I just get excited.
No, that's awesome. That's some really good points you got there. But my question is, or not question,
I just love it, man.
most of the time these mouth calls or diaphragm calls are either single, double, triple reed, right? That's kind of how they're running,
Mm-hmm.
and it depends on how much air you use. It depends on the shape of your mouth, and that goes into the tape and all that stuff too. But it
Yes.
also depends on like the pitch that you want to achieve, because I like the split V cut. That is my favorite all time go to split V. Run it like a wild banshee. I usually use a double reed. Sometimes I use a triple reed, but I like that in the batwing. I don't think I've ever tried a diamond cut, but probably need to for this season. But there's it's a lot of things to look into. So a mouth call is not very expensive. Excuse me. So
Mm-mm.
get a
No.
couple of them
Mm-mm.
and try them and see which ones fit you best. Because we can recommend whatever we want to all day. But the fact of the matter is, a diaphragm mouth call is a very personal call. It has to fit you right, or it's not going to sound right, and you're going to get frustrated and just throw it in the trash. So get several of them and try different cuts, try different tape thicknesses, try different reeds, like 1, 2, or 3, or whatever. Just try different ones to
Yeah.
see which one fits you the best and which one is easiest for you to learn on. And hey, man, that's where you got to start, right? I mean, I started with an old Primos from Walmart there, and I sounded like just crap. It sounded awful. I mean, I'm not, dude. I am no stage dwelling turkey caller. I am a killer. I go out and I have one thing on my mind: turkey nuggets. That's it. That's all I
That's
got on
it.
my mind.
Time to
Is
eat.
some old turkey nuggets, man. That's it. I mean, I don't give a crap about winning no award on, and I'm not knocking that by any means. I'm not. If that, dude, those
No, no, no.
you guys that do that,
That's you.
it is a gift. It's a talent, to be able to do that stuff. And I mean, it's just not something that I'm personally interested in. And it's great if you are. That's wonderful. Have at it. I hope you win them all. But for me, man, I like the simple run of the mill calling, and I like killing these guys right here. The old turkey
Oh yeah.
beers. Look at that. Chippa, 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 chippa. But
So here's something
right,
else I want to dive into, Ben,
yeah,
because
go ahead.
you well, and I'm sorry to cut you off. You just said something that kind of sparked my brain there.
Yeah.
Different pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so basic kind of carrying around stuff whenever you're turkey hunting. Um, I really like pot calls that have different sides. Uh, this particular call, this company's not even in business anymore. The guy retired, whatever. But there's calls like this out there, is what I'm trying to get at, where it has 3 different sides, and that's really important. Even if you just have 2 different one-sided pot calls, let's say you have a glass and a slate, or a ceramic and a glass, whatever. Like, even if that's all you have, that's really, really important, because every turkey is different. Every turkey sounds different. And that turkey that you swear loves a slate call, he may wake up one morning and you are just running that slate and you've had him gobble before and he doesn't answer. And then you get out the glass call and he just pops off because maybe you're hunting public and everybody runs a slate, but you're the only dude that runs a glass call or whatever the case is, right? And you just give that bird a different kind of point of view, a different voice to hear. That could be a game changer, dude. It really, really could be.
No, that is a great point that you brought up there. It's diversity and having different sounds for different days. You know, sometimes, man, they just like the way it hits their ear a little bit different when you use a glass call or a ceramic call or a mouth call, or on the windy days,
Right,
man, I
whatever.
love a box call because I can get loud on
Mhm.
them windy days if I need to.
Mm.
Um,
Cuts through it, absolutely.
yeah, yeah, man. So, you know, that's kind of what my point is you just got to get out there and try it. You got to dive in. Don't be afraid. You know, if somebody makes fun of you, who cares? You know, because one of the
Yeah,
days you're
just
going to
do
end
it.
up with that bird in the back of your truck, and they're going to be like, "Well, dang, man, we should have been hunting with you all along." You know, but it just takes getting out there
Oh,
and
yeah.
doing it. Are we always successful taking turkeys? No, absolutely
Mm-mm.
not. Man, last year there was one day in particular, I walked about 12 miles or so, didn't kill a bird. This one old Tom, man, he is old as the hills, and it seems like he is untouchable. We tried everything in the book, and everybody has for the last 3 years. Nobody can kill him, and I didn't kill him. And he's still there. Nobody killed him last year. He's still chilling unless he died. I don't know. I don't know if he died or not, but
We're killing
for
that bird. I love stories
dude,
like that, man. We
dude,
are killing that bird.
he
Promise you.
is a uh old school Tom that's heard it all, seen it all, done it all.
Oh,
And
oh yeah.
man, he roosts in the same pine thicket every year, all through the season. And buddy, he knows when he hears that gate open, it's over. He'll gobble his head off on the roost and he's lockjaw the rest of the day. I mean, it's unbelievable what that bird has put a lot of people through. And I tried to kill him last year and I couldn't do it. But nonetheless, let's so we've got pretty much all the basics on the actual turkey calls. So now let's talk about my
Mhm.
favorite, locators. How about a little
Yeah.
little owl hoot there, man? Get them fired up like nobody's business. And you know, I have sit back and learned like what you were talking about, the different tones, man. There's some days that you know you can pull out a hoot tube, hammer down. And then some days you pull out the hoot tube, nothing happens. And then you just go into hooting yourself and they hammer down. It's just, man, it just depends on the
Love.
day. Every bird is different. Every bird has something else that sets them off. But dude, I absolutely love the hoot owl locator call. Man, the hoot owl locator call, if I can
Me
even
too.
speak, it gets me all fuzzy inside. Uh, Speaking of that, man, last year, well, no, you were with me. We were in South Georgia. Remember that? We called that owl literally
Hmm.
sat on a tree limb above us and just looked down at us like, hey,
Oh
what
yeah.
you doing? And
Yeah.
just
I
stared
was
at us.
thinking about that whenever you were doing it. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty neat, man. I've never had that experience before. I mean, I've had him get close, but not like that. And that dude was
They were
coming
on
to
us.
party. That dude was ready to party. He was ready to hang out with the boys. So we've
That's
got
it.
the owl hoot. Let's dive into a crow call. So a crow call, what we're trying to do with these locator calls is to get what we call a shock gobble. That's what we're looking for. That's when that turkey hears something that he don't like and he's gonna gobble about it because he wants to fuss, I guess. I don't know. But he's fussing up there in the tree telling that other one to hush up. So give us an example of a good crow call.
So the basics of a shock gobble: loud, disruptive, and they don't see it coming. Hence the word shock. They're shocked, right? So a crow, for the most part, does 3 calls in a row. A basic is just right now. You can really get in on this thing. You can do a bunch in a row. You can go crazy. I'll try not to blow your eardrums out, but you'll do something like this sometimes. right? Kind of a little hard at the beginning, then normal, then maybe a little soft, and back to loud again. Um, so you can really do a lot with the crow call, and crow crow's pretty effective because it's a pretty common bird in most areas, so it doesn't really spook them too often.
Yeah, no, that's right, man. I have used the crow call quite a few times, and there's some other locators out there, but man, it seems like from what I have gathered that the crows always follow around the turkeys and just pester the fire out of them in the spring. It's probably not true, but it just seems to
I
be
mean,
what
yeah, I've
what they're
seen it.
doing.
Yeah,
It just seems like they're just aggravating the fire out of them. It's just kind of funny to
yeah,
watch them do that, cackle back and forth, and mess with each other, and try to eat in the same field, and it's just really fun to watch them interact together, and especially when you got old Longbeard in there gobbling his head off at them.
yeah. Because that's the other thing. Listen, if if a real crow is making a turkey gobble, I wouldn't say anything. I would just go to the bird, and if he keeps
Yes.
gobbling from the turkey or from the crow rather, then just hey, listen, just be thankful that you have a natural collar, and just go ahead and hunt and shoot that
Hmm.
bird. That
And see,
bird will never know you're there.
that's a really good point that I'm glad you brought up because if the bird's already gobbling, you don't have to call necessarily if you're trying to get to him. You just need to go and get to the general vicinity of where he is. If he stops gobbling, okay, hit him with a quick yelp and something, but you don't have to call the whole way there because what he may do is turn and come to you, and then you get busted because he rounds the corner same time you do, and you're not ready to shoot him. So a lot of times it's
Yeah,
really good to when they're gobbling like that, just go
that
straight to the
does happen.
bird, get in the general vicinity, sit down, get ready, and then start calling. Like strike him up one time before you sit down, and then just sit down, get ready, prepare yourself, have your gun ready, and go from there. But I think that is the a really good point that you made there about not calling when they're gobbling. There's no sense in it. Just go to them and then worry about the finesse and getting them to actually finish once you get into range of doing that kind of stuff, your finesse work, or just calling them in to say, hey, I'm over here, we're feeding around, having a good time, whatever. That is something that you need to think about next time you're out in the field. Is that so? We've got the crow call, we've got the owl call. What about an old woodpecker? Those things seem to work too.
Yep.
I've had a lot of car doors work too, especially in Texas, man. Those birds will gobble at anything.
Them birds are just dumb.
Yeah, Rios, man. They're a Rio is a different breed of turkeys, guys. They are
Oh man.
until they decide to act like an Eastern. Uh, but most of the time, they are very, very vocal, and even if they're
Mhm.
scared, they're still gobbling the whole time. It's unbelievable
Oh
how
yeah.
vocal those birds really are. It's pretty neat to see the way they interact with each other too. It's just wild to see that stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, why
You've
don't
got
you hop on that woodpecker call?
yeah. So most woodpecker calls like this that I'm holding. It's also a peacock call, or it's a peacock
Mm.
and a woodpecker. So I know what y'all are thinking. You're like, a peacock, really? I don't. There's no flipping peacocks in my woods. You're right. There's not. I believe you, but it still works. You know why? Because it's loud. It is disruptive, and they're not expecting it. Just like I said in the beginning. That's why the crow works. That's why the owl works. That's why the peacock works too. So the peacock's really, really loud. I'm really not gonna do that. I mean, dude, it's loud. Um, but woodpecker, very simple. I'm not saying any sort of sound or putting my tongue a certain way. I'm just blowing air and just like just a regular old woodpecker. Okay. And that's all that is. It's just another tool to have in your belt if nothing else is working. Maybe use this. I will say this for the public land people out there. which I've killed a few birds on public myself. Any little thing that you can do that the majority is not doing, like a peacock call, could put the odds in your favor. I've had it happen.
Exactly right, man. It's all about putting the odds in your favor. And the biggest thing you want to do is just get yourself in a position to successfully communicate to that bird. But first things first, you got to know where he is. So that goes into a whole nother episode when we talk about scouting, how to look for turkeys, knowing your property, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into that in another episode. But for right now, we have covered pretty much all the basics that you need to know for turkey hunting, turkey calling, all that kind of stuff. We've got you some tips, techniques, and tricks that you can try on your next turkey hunting adventure. So, John, what else do you want to add to this episode on beginning with some turkey calls?
Well, the only thing we kind of didn't touch on just a little bit here is maintenance for your calls.
Good
Like I
point.
said, most box calls. So this one, again, it's from the same company that is no longer here. This one is Play Wet. It never needs chalk. That's why I really love this company. I'm glad I got it whenever I did. But so you may need chalk for your box call. A lot of people use sandpaper on their pot calls. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sandpaper works. I don't. I like to use this roofing sandpaper. It's like roofing. I'm blanking on the word right now, but it's essentially like roofer's paper. You can buy it at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. It just comes in sheets, and that stuff really cuts up glass and crystal. Where sandpaper doesn't, it's not as rough as like this roofer stuff I'm talking about. But sandpaper's fine. It's not that it doesn't work. It's worked forever, and it'll work way longer after I'm gone. But that, and then just a green Scotch pad that you use to wash dishes with, that scratches up a lot of stuff good. Not so much glass, but your slate, your ceramic, things like that, copper, aluminum. It'll scratch up good. Also, make sure you scratch up your striker just a little bit, not a lot, just enough to put a little bit of an edge kind of on it. And a lot of people for their mouth calls, you don't want to set it under light, like fluorescent lighting. If it's in a room, you don't want to put it on the dash of your truck. That sunlight just absolutely kills that latex and ruins it. If you can find like some flat kind of toothpick things, flat little wood pieces, and put it in between the reeds, put them in water during the season, kind of helps it. Just things like that. So you need to find your call. Okay, you need to understand what you're saying. Okay, and then you need to take care of your call for during season and then plus after season whenever you put it away. So that's kind of the basic there, man.
Yeah, so
Know what the turkey's saying, grab the
Yep.
call, take care of it. Done.
And don't be afraid to get out in the woods and just experiment, have a good time, and just be in nature, be in God's country, man, because look,
Yeah.
God put every critter on this earth for us to eat. So turkeys just so happen to be delicious. Yeah. So we're the
Yeah.
OG organics, man. We're eating those organic birds, not organic. I can't even talk, John. I can't even talk right.
Perfect.
But yeah, get out in the woods, enjoy God's creation, and always remember, don't give up trying. Keep hammering down, and eventually you're gonna take a big old long beard home with you, and it's gonna be the best experience of your life.
Have fun. Just go out and have fun.
Well, with that, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. As always, don't forget, go and check out rootedtelevision.com for all the merch for the podcast and the TV show. We just dropped 2 new items. Make sure you go check them out. at the shop. Mind blown, right, John? Well, with that, guys,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Redneck is out.
See y'all.
For all things Rooted Podcast and Rooted Television, and I mean hats, shirts, hoodies, and other merch, check out our friends at CH Lone Star Pro and the link that is in our description.